What's up, party people? We are the hashtag baseball only show. JML here, Fire Frank over there. Today, we're going to be talking about several topics. We're going to be talking about the Atlanta Braves. We'll talk about the Yankees. We'll talk about the confirmation of some rule changes that we brought up many months ago on this show. And our opinions on them, which I believe they have remained the same.
Mm-hmm.
Do us a favor. We are over 620 subscribers, which is awesome. If you're watching this video, you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this video, please hit the like button. We're going to take 10 seconds to hit that like button, starting now. Okay. Thank you so much for liking the episode. As we continue on this path, we do have an announcement to make. Me and Frank discussed before going on the air. We are going to make sure that all of these episodes from here on out will also be available on Anchor, which will then be published to Spotify, Apple, and all your major podcast hosting companies, so you guys can listen on the go. I know there's a lot of people that don't have YouTube Premium, so as soon as they close the app, they won't be able to listen to the show. So we want more people to listen, especially on the go, maybe to the on the ride to work or the ride home from work or lunch break, whatever. So we'll make sure that it's up there. Fire Frank is going to be spearheading the podcast division of the show. So thank you to Fire Frank. Speaking of our show / podcast, we had a review. Frank, we had a review.
Yes.
I'm going to pull up the review. Even if it was bad, I'd pull it up. It is what it is. Podcast review, JMO Experience, hashtag baseball only, by Michael Walsh. Do you want to give a little background about Michael Walsh?
Yeah, sure. It's a coworker of mine, actually. For those who don't know, if I never brought up on the show, I work for the Yonkers Public Library. I work at the Will Branch in technical processing, which is basically the department that does all the ordering, receives all the orders, processes, puts in the computer, does all that kind of stuff for all the items for the libraries in Yonkers. We have 3 branches. Now, Michael Walsh, he works for Adult Services / Reference in Will Library. He has a blog on the Yonkers Public Library website where he likes to review different podcasts because he likes to listen to a lot of different podcasts. And when we were talking about the Yankees one day, because he's also a big Yankee fan, and I mentioned how we started this show recently, he said he'd check it out. And then, and would I mind if he did a review? I said, sure.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it.
And he did.
Not only did he check out, the most recent episode, but he checked out several episodes, and he gave us awesome review, and that's great, and we appreciate it. I'll link this in our description box for YouTube for people to read the review, but the review's up there as well. So people can read it off the screen, but we appreciate that, and thank you so very much for the support. And maybe if we get a few more listeners / watchers out there, that's great. We love it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. He does, like I said, he does review a lot of different podcasts. If you want to check out his blog on the YPL website, he's also does a lot of cool services at our branch. Like he does like video conversion, like VHS to DVD and or flash drive, whatever you want. And well as they have a what they call the local history incubator, which is a recording studio where you can go in, be interviewed. If you want to record a podcast, you want to upload some pictures, he'll do it for you. So check that out. Great guy. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it. So last night, the Atlanta Braves have surpassed the Mets in the National League East. That's crazy. At one point, The Mets were like, what, at least 10 games up at one point during the season, if not
Yeah.
more.
I think the high point recently was 10 and a half.
Since June, the Atlanta Braves have the best record in baseball.
Yeah.
They've really lit the world on fire. Their pitching's been great. Their hitting's been great. The weakest point of the team is their bullpen. But I'm sure, I mean, you can't start 5 starters in the playoffs. So one of their 5+
Sure.
starters is probably going to go to the bullpen. For me, I know people might disagree with me, man, but I would love to see Spencer Strider in the bullpen for the
Mm,
playoffs. Can you imagine how
yeah.
dominant his stuff would be in the bullpen? You can have him pitch 2 or 3 innings.
Oh yeah. He can do the old Ramiro Mendoza role, 2 innings, or even Mo when he was a setup man.
But as a flamethrower, like a
Yeah, the
flamethrower.
flamethrower. Yeah, like you can picture him pitching the 7th and 8th, and obviously Jansen would close, or he might even be able to close. Whatever you want to do with him, he could be like a Swiss Army knife there for them. That's a big weapon.
It's a huge weapon. It's something that I didn't really think about before.
Yeah,
I've been thinking about it for a couple because honestly, he's a young guy. I'm sure he has some innings limits attached
yeah.
to him.
I mean, he's a strike throwing machine, and when you put that in a bullpen, as we know, you don't have to throw as many pitches. You can really let it fly.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big advantage for them in October sense. I know we've talked about the Braves a lot recently. We talked about their farm system, the
Yep.
way they promote players, re-sign them early. I think I talked about them being my current favorite for the National League, and I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah, I still think the Mets. If
Yeah, I still think
healthy,
the Mets have the best chance to. I'll say this: the Mets have the best chance to actually overcome them
Yep.
in the National League playoffs. But if not them, I'm sticking with the Braves.
Now, right now, strikeouts per 9, 13.6, 183 strikeouts and 120 innings pitched. 18 starts. He had 11 appearances out of the bullpen, so he's pitched in the bullpen before. It's not a huge stretch for him to pitch out of the bullpen. In the playoffs, it has like the super swing role or
Yeah,
a 2 inning closer, even 3 inning closer.
sure.
This guy has overpowering, freak nasty stuff. Where is the whip? Look at the whip. It's under 1.
Jeez.
So he doesn't walk a lot of people either. Doesn't give up a lot of hits.
That kind of stuff plays in a bullpen role.
Yep.
Sure. I mean, it plays in the starting role too, but that's the thing you need in October. You got to face these lineups when you're facing, some of these big hitters. You're facing Alonso. You're facing Juan Soto, whoever you're talking about.
Yep. And the Braves. I think I said it maybe on last show or 2 shows ago. We'll have the playlist up at the end of the show. You guys can watch back several episodes. This rookie class is unprecedented.
For sure.
For the Braves. They literally have 3 guys who will finish in the top 5 for Rookie of the Year, which has never happened before. And it's funny because we mentioned it. You know who else has mentioned it now? A little known website, MLB.com, has mentioned this. So clearly, someone is watching this show and feeding MLB.com some information.
And thank you for watching. Hopefully you liked and commented.
Yeah.
You did share, definitely, in a different way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
this was by Sarah Langs.
Thank you for being a listener, Sarah. We appreciate it.
Slangs on Sports. We're going to give you a follow at some point on Twitter. At least I will. Probably Frank too.
I'll do it right now. But yeah.
Michael Harris and Strider, who are probably going to finish 1-2 in the Rookie of the Year vote. It's really a coin flip between both of them.
Yeah.
And she really goes in depth. I loved her use of analytics in this article. The producing a lot of wins above replacement. So what I liked was right here, she says, beyond awards history, the Braves lead all MLB teams in wins above replacement per Fangraphs from rookie pitchers and rookie hitters. How rare is that? So they lead both categories. Just 3 teams in the divisional era, which started in 1969, have led the majors in both WAR from rookie pitchers and hitters in the same season. The 2021 Rays, the 2007 Red Sox, and 2006 Marlins. The 2006 Marlins were all young guys on the team.
Yeah.
2007 Red Sox, that was Pedroia. That was Buchholz. That was Lester. That makes sense. 2021 Rays, they're all young guys. You had Glasnow and McClanahan and all of those guys with Arozarena, Wander in the mix. So that makes sense. Strider leads all rookie pitchers with a 4.4 wins above replacement, and Harris leads rookie batters with a 4.2. If they each finish with at least 4.5, the Braves would be the 4th team to have 2 such rookies in a season since 1900, joining the 63 White Sox, 24 Pirates, in 1914 Chicago Whales. So we are seeing some unprecedented history-making baseball from Atlanta. Frank, your comments?
I mean, I think we said it all before. It's just, it's like I said, unprecedented. It's unbelievable, but they're taking advantage of it. They're using it to the fullest.
And here's the thing. The Atlanta Braves farm system wasn't highly ranked going into this season.
No.
And they took, I believe all 3 of these guys came from Double-A. So they didn't even play Triple-A that much, if they even played Triple-A at all during any point of their minor league career. But I believe all 3 of these guys were called up from Double-A.
Right. And you don't see that. Even with a bad team, you don't see that usually, let alone a first place type team like the Braves.
And they double back with Harris.
Yeah.
And get 3 extra years of control.
Brilliant.
While giving him a little bit more guaranteed money to avoid arbitration for the next 8 years and avoid free agency.
Smart.
So they bought out his first 3 years of free agency.
Very smart.
The Braves are doing super smart moves here. Kudos to the front office. That is Anthopoulos, I believe, is the GM still over there or president. He's a very underrated baseball man. Obviously, they won the World Series last year. They feel the pulse of the team and they make adjustments and they make pivots. Last year, going into the trade deadline, the biggest glaring need for them was production in the outfield. They went out there and they replaced the entire outfield via trades. They got Eddie Rosario, Jorge Soler, and Jock Peterson, which all of those guys performed for them, not only the rest of the year, but into October. This year, they needed some speed and a little bit more pulse, and they called up guys from the minor leagues.
Yep.
Now,
sounds familiar, right? Sounds like something we've been talking about for a while.
Yes.
Interesting.
Which we'll get into. So the Mets have collapsed a bit. They're still going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's going to be undoubtable. But I guess we'll pivot over to the Yankees. Now, again, I say this every show. We started this show. The very foundation of this show was built on my opinion of the Yankees are eventually going to fall off a cliff. And they have fallen off of a cliff. I believe it was 2 or 3 episodes ago where I said, this is their plan for next year. You know what their plan for next year was? It was the plan for 2 weeks from that episode. It just so happens that Judge is still on the team. He may
Yeah.
not be on the team next year, but I said it's going to be all of the kids, and that's pretty much it. And we're going to be treated to a season of, hey, come see the youth at Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we have now. We have a AAA club. And for better or worse, there's some moves that they've made that actually make sense that they should have done months ago. Isaiah Kanafalefa, he should have been playing third the entire year. The entire year. Or he should have been in the super sub mode of where he would play third, he'd play short, he'd play second, and that's it.
Yeah. Or you could have done a little bit easier move and not made this trade at all. Not sign Gary Sanchez.
Yes.
And just either sign an actual shortstop that can
or
play
traded
short.
Urshela for IKF straight up.
Or you could have done that if that's what you wanted. But at this point, I'd rather still have Urshela at third and a real shortstop. But as you said, IKF is clearly made to be a third baseman.
He's hitting better.
And he's hitting better because of it, because of his defense. We saw the opposite with Donaldson, where his hitting has now affected his defense.
Yep.
And I think he's going to be back today. So if they just put him back there and move Isaiah back to short, I'm going to blow a gasket. But
Donaldson should DH with everyone out.
Because clearly Stanton is hurt. I don't even know why he's not back on the IL by now, because clearly that foot is still bothering him.
He hasn't hit since the All-Star break.
Yeah. And he was injured then when he was MVP of the All-Star game, apparently. So, unfortunately, it was one of those years where he got hurt in the second half of the year.
A wrong time.
Wrong time. Not saying, I just don't think he's going to be healthy this year.
No.
It's a big killer. And now we talked about collapsing. They were in free fall mode with generally their full lineup. And now we're putting out lineups that I think Michael Kay brought up in the air. If you saw this lineup in spring, you would have some complaints for Major League Baseball that they're not putting enough a competitive lineup on the field like they do in spring when they don't bring any of the stars. So although it worked out a couple times, that's because they were playing the Twins, obviously. It's not going to fly against the Rays.
No. Here is the standings.
Yeah, they've gotten really interesting.
So the Yankees play the Rays again today and tomorrow. So we potentially could have a 1.5 game lead on the Rays if we get swept this series.
Here,
And now Tampa's been really hot over the last 10. Toronto's picked it back up. This is not good. This is not good.
This is a huge series. They needed to win this series, not just not get swept. Because after this, I know Tampa and Toronto play each other a lot, so that would help. But the problem is they can't win enough games to pick up. And this is why we've gotten to this point. There was a long while when they were free falling and when they weren't really losing anything in the standings because everybody was scuffling. They've been losing so long, they've allowed Toronto and Tampa to get healthy and get hot again. This is where we are.
So regardless, unless Baltimore or Chicago starts lighting the world on fire, the Yankees will be one of the 6 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah. The only question now is whether or not we're playing a wild card series or
it's either we're the 2 seed or we're the 6th seed. That's how the season's looking at this point.
Insane.
Absolutely insane.
And I know you said you called it months ago, but I don't know. Could we really see it being this bad?
I thought they were going to struggle to win the division.
You did say that, so a lot of people didn't. I was very cautious even early on. I was a little more optimistic than you, but I was very cautious. Only because I know in general, I figured that cushion would help, and it has. But at this point, it just you don't see starts like that. That's why people say, "Why are they comparing to better teams?" I say, "Yeah, because there hasn't been that many teams that started that well, and a lot of teams do come back a little bit, but they don't come back like this. Like to fall this far.
The Yankees are averaging about 2.5 runs a game since the All-Star break.
And that's your answer right there. We talked
It's
about it
been
last
the
show.
offense. You can't look at
They've had some
runs
pitching
scored.
struggles, but it's because if you look at their differential, it's still very good. They're still very good at run prevention.
Look,
Even with some struggles here, guys. Even with Montas,
plus
obviously,
193. They lead the American League.
yeah. So
that's because they got off to such a torrid hot start.
Right. But it's been the same problem the last couple of years. When they struggle, it's because they can't score runs. 2020, in that weird season when they got into a funk, it's because they couldn't score runs. Last year, most of 2021, they couldn't score runs. Why they lost in that playoff game? Couldn't score runs.
And if Stanton, Rizzo, or LeMahieu cannot be healthy and or productive going into the postseason,
yeah,
we need at least one of the three guys to do this.
Mm-hmm.
To provide Judge protection in the lineup.
Yeah.
Because, and I still don't know. This has been beyond me how this has happened. Oh, I lost. There
I'm
we
still
go.
Here.
This is beyond me. Why do you pitch to Aaron Judge? He literally has no protection in the lineup. I don't believe in Gleyber Torres.
No.
I would let Gleyber Torres beat me at this point.
Yeah.
And I love Gleyber. I'm one of Gleyber's biggest fans. I bought another on-card auto of Gleyber Torres yesterday. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But he is not the Gleyber of June, July. He's not the Gleyber of 3 years ago. I don't know what's going on there, but maybe it's New York. Maybe he needs a change of scenery.
Maybe. I don't think his career is over. I think he still has something to give here. This is just something from some reason they can't get the best out of players here. I don't know if it's whether it's coaching, whether it's
nightlife,
whether it's distraction, whether it's just the culture. I don't know. I mean, we heard Montgomery on CC's podcast the other day talking about how the Yankees wouldn't let him throw his fastball. And he's been very successful since he became a Cardinal because he's throwing his fastball. He has a good fastball. Because the same thing we heard from Sonny Gray, oddly enough. They're afraid of pitching to contact. And this is still going on. And this was going back before Matt Blake. They still have this.
Yeah, the Yankees have this the nibbler mentality.
And this is why they get beat. Because you're getting beat on not your best pitch.
What's going to happen when there's no umpires calling strikes and balls?
You're just going to walk everybody. Nibbling. And that's just why people struggle. When do these guys struggle? What are they getting beat on? Breaking stuff. When Cole gets bombed, what happens usually? He's giving up on a breaking ball. So
last night, Aaron Hicks made not one but two horrific plays in the outfield. I've said this since April.
Yeah,
I said the man looks lost in the outfield.
It's not getting any better.
At first, people were like, hey, he's coming off injury. He should pick it up. I said, listen, It doesn't look like it's an injury. It looks like he's just mentally somewhere else. He has literally become the outfield version of Chuck Knobloch. He has forgotten how to play the outfield.
Right.
He doesn't know when to call off people. He doesn't know when that he should give up on a play.
There's no awareness of the play going on, obviously, in that instance last night, not knowing if the ball was foul or fair.
People weird say, well, he's not playing center. He's got to get used to left and right. And no, come on.
The guy can't play baseball anymore. We've said it many times on the show. Knobloch, like you said, we bring up Knobloch. Knobloch at least still hit. This guy cannot do anything on either side of the ball.
And Knobloch was like 35, 36, 37 years old.
Yeah.
By the time that happened.
Right.
Actually, let me fact check myself.
Well, no, I think it kind of started after he came to the Yankees, oddly enough.
It was like a couple of years.
Yeah,
it wasn't immediate. It was like the first year or third year.
Yeah,
he started the third year.
Started really struggling, which made no sense because he was a great defender at this time. But I've never seen something like this to the point that Boone had to remove him from the game because he literally couldn't play.
So 2000 would say it really started. He was 31 years old. Let's look at Aaron Hicks. Aaron Hicks might be 31. Let's see.
Probably around the same age.
32. 32.
Okay.
So,
and some context here, Aaron Hicks was batting third last night. Because I don't know.
want me to give you
somebody
Aaron Hicks? Hold on, I'll pull this up.
He shouldn't be playing.
Look at his 10-year career stats. He's a 230 lifetime hitter, 330 on base percentage. And he's carried on that on base percentage because at one time with the Yankees from 2017 through 2020, he had a really nice eye.
Yeah.
His slugging, 386. OPS, because of his on base percentage, which puts him over, is 716. But this guy has literally been a below average player or an average player his whole career.
Yeah. He is what his stat says he is, as they say.
He
Look at your
is
baseball
a
card
fifth
says.
outfielder.
And
There's no
because
way this
of
man
his
should be
defense,
starting.
he's not even like a defensive replacement.
He's on the hook the next 3 years at 10.8 million, 9.8, 9.8, and then there's a team option with $1 million buyout. We just need to eat the $30 million.
Yeah, I mean, it's not worth. I mean, I'll say this: until recently, he was being benched. He was not playing. Only reason he's playing now is because of Benintendi, but he shouldn't even be on the team. He shouldn't even be an option.
0.8 wins above replacement.
And this was a guy that once was near actually one of the team leaders in WAR, believe it or not, a couple of years back.
Yeah.
At the time, I was sort of a defender of him when he actually could play the field, But I understand why they did this deal. They didn't want to spend money on again. We're making deals because we don't want to spend money on free agents. Go figure. We can't be the Rays. We're not the Rays. Only the Rays can be the Rays. I've said this a million times.
I never want to see Ronald Guzman again. He sucks.
No.
He can't even run to first base.
Jeez.
And we're lucky that didn't cost us that game.
Yeah, it should have.
But that was a disgrace. Right now, for September, Donaldson should DH first base, or he could play first. I have IKF at third. Shortstop, Peraza.
Right.
Second, Glaber. Catcher, Trevino. I never thought I would say I'd miss Jose Trevino, but Kyle Higashioka.
Yeah.
He's horrible.
He's regressed even on the defensive side.
Yep, he's horrible.
I think this we didn't even see Rorvik. They called him up yesterday because of because of Trevino being out for a couple of days. But I think it's pretty obvious next year we're not going to see Higgy anymore. Trevino might be the backup if they get a catcher or if they call up somebody or whatever they're going to do.
Get Buster Posey out of retirement for a year.
Anybody.
I
think Posada might be a better job.
The outfield should be Cabrera. I would even think about DHing Judge. Have Judge DH, have an outfield of Cabrera, Florio, and LeCastro. Because at least then we know we have defense and speed.
Well,
but literally we have no protection for Judge except for Glaber maybe hitting.
Yeah.
That's why I hate to say it. Donaldson is very important. If Donaldson could come back here and be Donaldson of a couple seasons ago.
Yeah. Even just like a couple seasons ago, not even his prime, just so we could be like what he was a year or so ago.
Well, last year was kind of topsy-turvy.
Right. He needs to be a threat. They don't have no threats in his lineup. That's why Judge is batting all over the order, because Boone's trying to figure out a way to make sure they pitch to him.
And only 2019, Josh Donaldson, because 2020 you throw out.
Yeah, we don't count that, guys. No matter what people think in the comments, that season didn't count.
He was 37 for 94, 520, with 900 OPS.
Yeah.
if that's the guy, or he's 85% of that guy, even to what you said, his 2021 where he was an 827 guy, then okay, at least he's a viable threat. You
Right
cannot
now,
rely on Glaber being the protection for Judge.
Mayhew being out, Rizzo being hurt, these are big cushions for Judge, because who do you pitch to there? But now, like you said, I'm surprised they're still pitching to him. They are pitching to him, but he's not getting
good pitches.
Good pitches. He's gotten some nice hits off of some bad pitches.
They're doing the nibblers.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen with him, and understandably so. We saw it the other day, that doubleheader. I think they walked him like 3 times intentionally.
Yep.
Shockingly, he's not even that high on the list of intentional walks. You would think he would be. But again, he had a lineup. Even this last month before everybody was injured, while they were struggling, they were still had a menacing lineup on paper. They do not have that now. So I don't know anymore. I think we said last episode you thought they might still win the division. At this point, who knows?
No, I honestly think so. That's a good segue. It's a good segue here. So obviously we have the game, I guess, starting now.
Yeah.
We're only going to go about 10 more minutes in this recording. Then we have tomorrow's game. Let's say they lose both of those. The only saving grace here,
you go to Fenway for 2 games, okay,
is maybe playing the Red Sox and the Twins. I mean, not the Twins, the
Pirates. 4 games. That could be.
The Orioles aren't a gimme by any stretch. This is the makeup game.
They got to go to Toronto, which is never easy.
Oh,
I think what?
Can I bring up something?
Yeah, go ahead.
On my most disliked list is Alek Manoah. Where does he get off thinking like he's like God's gift to pitchers now? I don't get it. He is like 3 donuts away from being David Wells. And he's like 23 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know. But look at this.
It's in the wrong era.
The Yankees have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 17 games left. They have 83 wins.
Well, they have some games in October too. If you know, I think there's 5 games with Texas, right, or 4 games. But yeah, essentially, they have
22. So
22 games. Okay,
22 games,
and there are 83 wins.
They literally need to win at least half. They need to go 500 the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'd say so. 10
to secure the division,
or 10 and 12 maybe. 93 might get you it, depending on what happens. I think the Rays and Toronto play each other a lot, so they're gonna have to hope they win those days as well and pick up ground on somebody,
or split,
yeah,
or split.
Imagine this: you would have thought coming down to the last 22 games would sound preposterous 2 months ago, but
to people that don't know,
don't watch baseball, yeah. And I knew that it was the big month was August, and I said they're probably, and they did. They took off the entire month of August on purpose, and now it's biting them.
It backfired. I knew that was going to happen
because then everybody got injured. They were all slumming, and now they've gotten injured. If they hadn't decided to actually play in August and then try to do this now in September, that could have worked. If you still had a cushion, you could then rest people, give people fake IL stints like they did with Nestor. Take it slow with Severino like they're doing. Yeah, I'll say it again. Nestor, the guy, he had a strained groin, but he was doing sprints the next day. So do the math, guys.
Yeah. It's
But I think that's another thing you talked about earlier in the year. His innings are coming up.
Yep.
They were letting these guys go too deep into games, and they burnt out starters. They burnt out their bullpen.
We know Cole can go. It's a mystery.
As a result, but he's going to go. He's going to be a gamer regardless. He gives up 5 runs or gives up no runs.
And the Yankees acquired a pitcher who's not going to start in the postseason.
Yeah. I think Jay Happ was a better trade
in the offseason. I mean,
I'll even say Sonny Gray had more of an impact on the team after a trade than this guy's going to have.
Yeah, no, there were some good Sonny Gray starts.
Like I said, Jay Happ was a better acquisition.
I liked him. He was good.
Yeah, at the time he settled the rotation. Yes, he did.
He was good like the first half season with the Yankees.
And 2018, he was a big help the second half of the year. And then sometimes 2019, Paxton was good into the playoffs, but that's another story. The point being, the moves they make don't always pan out.
No, they don't.
In this case, I think the mistake they made was just making a move. They probably, if they weren't going to get the guy they wanted, they probably should have just stood pat what they had, and they wouldn't have had, to rely on Herman making these starts. Although he's done a fine job, you can't really trust him either, especially in the postseason.
No, nope.
So we're basically talking about a trade where you traded, like what, Sears, a guy that could have been a bullpen piece for him right now.
He's actually been pitching decently up until.
I like his stuff.
He was pitched pretty good for Oakland so far.
We stress in the show, don't make the trade. They did.
No, you only trade for a pitcher if his name was Luis Castillo.
Right.
Or you take a flyer on Syndergaard with Syndergaard's history of pitching in New York.
That was it. You didn't have to make a move. You were better off just leaving it as it was than what they've done now. Even with Montgomery being not pitching as well here, it would have been better than making a trade for a guy that's going to pitch maybe 5 innings. I mean, last night maybe it wasn't his fault per se, but they were jumping him early. I think they brought up in the broadcast he just faced him in Tampa, so they had seen him recently, so that didn't help. But he's not. I don't know why so many teams were interested in him. People get fooled by numbers.
No, they get fooled by people who pitch an empty ballpark.
Yes, that's too.
There's no pressure in Oakland.
No pressure. It's a pitcher's park.
It's a pitcher's park.
His record on the road wasn't good. We said that going to the trade deadline. Apparently, I don't know, Cashman doesn't look at these things.
Luis Castillo had the most overpowering stuff that translates to postseason baseball.
And they didn't get him. And,
okay, fair. Cool. You didn't want to give up whatever. That's fine. But I better see those guys playing next year, not 2 years from now.
Yeah. If these guys aren't starting for this team for the next decade,
and me and Frank could be sold on a rebuild. We could be sold on it. Yeah, some of the average fans of the Yankees, probably not. But I could be, all right, your Judge is gone. I'll be heartbroken. Fine. But at least give me Dominguez out there.
Yeah.
Give me Volpe. Give me Peraza. Give me Cabrera.
Let's see what they can do.
Give me Austin Wells.
These are the guys these are the untouchable guys. Let's see them. Yeah, they're not all going to pan out, but if you're going to be untouchable
Austin Wells could be the backup to Trevino and learn from Trevino. I think it's a good opportunity there. You have Rizzo. You still have Rizzo as the guy with the 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to opt out. He'll be here.
That you can trade at the deadline if they're really struggling. Or he could be part of building up a young core the whole year, and that's going to compete. IKF will be here next year. LeMahieu will be here next year.
Sure.
Donaldson should not.
No, Donaldson should not.
Hicks should not.
Glaber should not. We discussed it before. Even if guys, for the sake of argument, they did sign Judge, they're still going to have to do a lot what we're talking about right now.
No, here's the thing.
I don't know.
Right now, the Yankees can make the playoffs, and I said this on our live stream, and someone jumped on me for saying it.
Yeah.
They could still win the World Series because there is talent on the roster. If they play to the back of their baseball cards, they could win the World Series.
because we saw what happens when everything goes right for them earlier this year. And I know they were
Obviously,
saying,
the bugaboo will be Houston, but if
yeah,
Verlander is not healthy,
that's a big
it could
difference.
be fair game in the American League. And you know what? We go to the World Series against Atlanta or the Mets. That might be a struggle. That
Yeah,
might be a struggle. But they could potentially make the World Series. I don't know if they could win it against
yeah.
any of those National League teams.
Unless there was an upset somewhere, some kind of weird run.
Yeah, like the Cardinals go on a run
Yeah,
with Jordan Montgomery, and then we're facing Jordan Montgomery.
go figure, right?
But obviously, next year the Yankees will have Bader in the outfield.
Yeah, I think he's actually allegedly supposed to start a rehab assignment tomorrow. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm
We'll
saying
see.
for our next year, Bader will be in the
Yes,
outfield,
he'll be in the outfield, obviously.
which signals to me that when they got him, they also think the same about Hicks not being
yeah,
on the team next year.
that was definitely part of it because I think his name came up in some move. They were trying to do something else at the deadline.
Yeah, so you could really have Bader,
Yeah,
Cabrera, who looks really great in right field.
yeah. For a guy that doesn't really play that position, he's got an arm. He's already got what I think we said 5 outfield assists already.
He might not have the offensive stats to keep him in right field, but man, he could. I wouldn't mind him being out there,
Mm-hmm.
and then left field, or like they could figure this out.
Yeah,
Stanton could be in left field if he wants to play in the left field. For me,
yeah,
I think he just gets hurt playing the outfield.
yeah. Even though I think he likes playing the outfield and it helps him at his bats, but he's going to get hurt more playing, and this is why they've been so reluctant. And they did it a lot this year, played him in the field, and we saw what that led to. Clearly.
Yep. And if you guys have any comments about the state of the affairs in Major League Baseball, let us know.
Hey, oh yeah, we didn't even get to that.
Yep. No, we're going to. We're
Yeah,
gonna get to the
I
rules.
just thought about it. Okay.
We also have
Yeah.
Mike Trout comes back off the IL and 5 straight games with
going
the
on a
homer.
tear. Mike Trout
That
being
man
Mike Trout
is incredible. If he would have stayed healthy the whole year, obviously he would be in the MVP conversation. But I will say this: this will be the last Yankee talk till next week or whenever we do a show again.
Yeah.
If Judge does not win the MVP, I don't know. There's a clear bias amongst the voters.
Yeah, and I think that's going to just hurt the public's confidence even more. Even if you're a hater, you got to see it. I've seen a lot of people that aren't even Yankee fans saying that. Joe Buck made the argument the other day. One of the smartest things he's ever said.
Wow.
About like you can't tell me that's not the MVP. Basically, is what he said.
If Judge wasn't on the team, they don't even make the playoffs. That's
right. And I know that's not they always say, well, that's not what the reward is. Okay, but again, he got it last year, Ohtani. You're gonna really give it to him back to back. Just because he's doing something that someone else doesn't do. That's great. But is he the best player in the game this season?
No. And literally, Frank, the Angels, like Shohei Ohtani could have had Tommy John surgery this year and been out the whole year.
Wouldn't have
mattered. And the Angels probably would have finished around the same record anyways. I get his wins above replacement and stuff.
I get him like winning it in a year where you don't have a clear-cut favorite, although I know last year Vlad Jr. had an argument. But I think like this season he's having, and he's not finished yet. If he could put up over 60 homers, he's going to have 140 RBI.
A primary center fielder home runs in a single season is 56 by Ken Griffey Jr. in 1997, I believe. He had 56 jacks. Judge has 55 primary position center field.
Yeah.
Which, oh, by the way, out of position.
Yes. This is one of the most incredible seasons I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
Everything that he hits into play is a homer or a double or a
Allowed single.
scorcher.
Yeah.
It's no weak hits this
Even
year.
his singles are like scorchers of a single.
He is locked in. He has been locked in from the start to this point. He's been hitting 300 most of the year.
This is what he looks like when he has a full season and healthy and stuff like this. This is what he is.
And he lost weight. I think that no one's talked about
You're
that.
right.
The man trimmed down.
It's helped, and he stayed on the field because of it. You got to see the correlation there. But we could talk about him all day. He is the MVP of the Yankees. He's the MVP of the American League, of baseball, and one of the top stories in sports this year. Period.
Yeah.
So
his free agency
this is a unbiased opinion here. I know we're going to say it's biased, but just because I get to watch so many games.
No, it's unbiased.
If you watch as many games as we did, even if you don't like the Yankees,
we hate the Yankees as much as you hate the Yankees.
I think nobody hates the Yankees as much as Yankee fans. Maybe Red Sox fans, or Met fans, but you know.
So a couple months ago, we did a show where I said how much I hated the shift, and there was talks of banning the shift. It was
fair enough.
No more shift next year. 2023. Love it.
Somewhere Mark Teixeira's giving a silent. Oof.
Brian McCann. Joey Gallo is probably jumping for joy.
Yeah, he probably is showing as much emotion as he possibly can, which might just be a smile. But yeah, it's about time. I know there's been a lot of arguments. Oh, just learn to hit the other way. It's just you can't do it. They've tried.
No, yeah.
You hit how you hit. It's a natural way of hit. It's just not.
Especially with analytics and launch angle and all these other things, like they're taught to pull the ball.
Right. So how are you going to – and you want people – like you said, we want to draw people to the game. We're tired of seeing – I've seen so many hits alone this last week that were right into a shift. They shift on everybody.
Yep.
Like I said, when they started shifting in double play situations, that's when I lost my mind. And I've seen plays that should have been double plays that were not because they shifted. That drove me crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to help. That's going to help. There's less thinking about what you're doing. You're just going to either play back, play in, watch for the ball. People will get more hits, but people can still make plays. It just
the size of the bases are going from 15 to 18 inches.
It makes sense. I understand why players they were unanimous on this. It's a safety thing above all else, where you can both fit on the bag at the same time. It might make them easier to steal a little bit. They'll be, if you think about it, it's a little less space between bases. In a sense.
It's also quicker, to get there.
It's more excitement for the game, like we talked about many times about it making the game more exciting, more accessible.
It needs to, and I get it. I'm a baseball purist. I liked in certain ways to see pitchers hit, but
you got to evolve. Everybody evolves. Every sport evolves.
It has to evolve for the sport to go on and live on, and generate a new members of the audience.
Think about it. I mean, the shot clock. We talk about pitch clock. We'll talk about in a second. What that did for basketball.
Well,
changed the game.
They tested the pitch clock in the minors, and this year the average minor league game's 2.5 hours, which is
that's cool.
What you want to see a baseball game clocked at.
Yeah, they've studied enough. Apparently, it works well. It's going to take a little bit of adjustments from these players. I think the Yankees are, to mention one last time, are one of the slowest between pitches teams. Believe it or not, I can't stand that stuff. So it'd be nice to see
Traxel.
Yeah, I do.
It took him like a minute, like 60. Was it like 65 seconds to deliver pitches or something like that? Some crazy stat.
You got to be ready. Like I like guys who are out there ready to throw. Those are my favorite kind of pitchers.
Yeah. So we have obviously the shift,
hard pitch clock.
We have pitch clock, the bases. These are all things that are going to make the game more enjoyable to watch for the TV viewer, and also attract the TV viewer to go watch a game live.
Yes.
Because I'm going to be honest with you. As much as I enjoyed going to Yankee Stadium during the summer when it's brutally hot and I'm out in the sun for 3.5 to 4 hours because these guys can't throw a freaking pitch. Or, I'm watching a game where it looked like softball with, all these extra infielders and outfielders because of the shift.
Yeah.
It's not enjoyable.
It's not enjoyable, that's for sure.
Let us know what you think about the rules in the comment section below. Thank you so much. If you haven't liked the show, go and like it. If you watched this far and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We love every single one of you. Thank you so much for joining. Frank, anything you want to say to the audience?
As always, let us know what you think. Please comment, like, share, subscribe. We love you guys.
Yep.
Thank you
Watch
for
out
all the
for
feedback.
the
Crazy or not.
Yep. Watch out for the podcast version of the show as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Good night and good luck. We'll see you on the field.